Hi, this is Scott Ware with Radiance Magazine, and I'm here interviewing the actual person who's on the cover of the, um, that'd be the August-September issue of Radiance, and that is Christine Alisa. And there's some pages inside here. Oh, by the way, you can find Radiance at 660 locations across Southern California, and you can find it at radiancemagazine.org. And thank you for being here, Christine.
Oh, thank you for having me, Scott. I'm excited. I'm so glad I'm on the cover. It's a big, huge thing.
Yeah, and you're going to be on the Lisa Garr show, well, the Aware show with Lisa Garr coming up here shortly in a few weeks, or in the next month. Right. And you are a marriage and family therapist and alternative therapist. And so you're an alternative therapist and a marriage family therapist. Do you bring the alternative modalities into the therapy? And I noticed you got some traditional therapy there with all the children's toys in those shelves.
Right. Yeah, all my stuff. Yes, I bring them together. The alternative work is mainly like past life regression work, which is working with trauma at the deeply unconscious level. It's working with birth trauma, past lives, patterns. And then because it's deep work, I also work with just my background as a marriage family therapist. That's given me the traditional kind of clinical piece so that, I know about mental health issues and diagnoses and, the law and ethics of our business. And I think people feel some stability with that, because there's a sort of a protocol and an understanding and so much training that goes into my license. And
Sure.
So I put that together so that I understand, dynamics of people and their family systems, and able to put that together with, even people who want to work and do spiritual work. I bring in the shamanism for those people who, are open to that. And I don't know, it's just made a really interesting combination that seems to work.
Yeah, so I imagine people are surprised if they've hired you as a traditional marriage and family therapist, and then it's an interesting conversation where you introduce shamanism or some of the other alternative modalities you bring in, like past life regression. Have you had situations where someone was expecting the traditional route and you brought that in and it made a world of difference?
Oh my, yes. Oh yeah. I think when I was just kind of coming out as just a marriage family therapist, and then I would start what I call educating people, telling them, well, we could really do this work and it would really help this issue in your family or whatever. So I would explain it to them and help them feel secure in it. And then we started doing the work, and then they'd go, oh my goodness, I didn't even know that this is what was blocking me, or that this was my pattern, or that I was doing this. And, I'm so grateful for that work. So it was, it's, when people don't know it, it's, it's a gentle walk and understanding to help them through it. And then I found that so many clients have just been so grateful for it.
Well, it's fascinating because one of the principles of past life regression is that there's some aspect of you, a dynamic that's at work in this life, and it's not always possible to trace it back to something that happened in your childhood. There's just this dynamic that's happening inside this person.
Right.
And then I imagine when you share with them, if they're open to it, that, well, this might be something you're bringing from another life that we can actually heal in that other life to make your life a lot better here.
Right.
That probably blows some people's minds.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it does. So, and I tell people, it's not a belief system. I'm not expecting you to believe in this. It's not a religion. It's none of that. It's just a technique, and it works, So, I tell them that, in fact, early on when I was doing this work, I remember people were going, oh, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. This is weird. And I said, well, everything I do is weird. So welcome to my world.
Sure.
But also, I said, just look at it as a metaphor, that whatever comes up from the past, it's just a metaphor. It's something that is like what you're going through.
Sure.
Okay. And then they would relax,
Okay, yeah, so it doesn't have to be seen as an actual past life, just as a metaphor. Either way, it's going to be very helpful to determine why they're doing something that is not as much in their control as they would like, that if they could control it, they know they'd have more peace in their life.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's the goal.
That's fascinating, because imagine all those people just in regular marriage and family therapy with that where it's not working. And maybe that's why, because there's something from another life that someone like you can help with.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I want to mention also, people can reach you at ChristineAlisa.com. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's my website.
Christine Alisa, spelled ALISA.com, and book appointments with you. You're in the Long Beach area, the Orange County, Los Angeles area. Okay.
Right.
So I also wanted to ask you, so when you have I know you get great results, so you have a lot of testimonials. I know some people who've been to see you. And is it hard to measure? Because what people talk about coming away from sessions with you is that they're more peaceful and they're more harmonious. There's not necessarily a scale to measure that, but you just feel it. What do you find? What are people saying to you that they're that you know firsthand that maybe you haven't shared as much?
Well, first of all, there's a variety of reactions. There's a variety of what people go through and what they experience afterwards. It's depending upon, what they bring to the work and how much they commit to the work. But I know that a lot of the people that I work with, they leave the office feeling, something shifted, maybe they don't have the word transformation there, but they know something is different. And
that's after one session sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I did a session with a woman who is adopted, who we worked with her birth and a little bit of her prenatal, because adoption still, it's a good way to work with adoption with adults. And she had a skin problem for as long as she could remember. And after the session, the skin problem was gone. So, it can be a physical thing that changes. I've worked with people with really difficult physical issues and chronic pain. And I had a woman who couldn't go to work at all. I mean, she had a difficult job, but she couldn't. And with our work together, she was back to work. So there's that. And then there's just the renewal of their life and the transformation that they make, and improvement in their relationships, and just feeling less angst, if that makes sense, just less tension, just like you said, like a more peaceful place.
Well, you mentioned a shift, and that's interesting. When you have some great therapy, you do some great work with somebody, they feel a shift, and we've all felt that at some point in our life where something change, but we say shift because it's like a fundamental reorganization of the foundation on which we understand life and reality, right?
Right.
And I imagine you send a lot of people are, go home after a session with that to sort of process that and integrate it, so that when they come next time, there's been movement forward on, would you say, their soul journey?
Oh, definitely. Almost definitely. Yeah. And I think in almost all aspects, there's a piece of trauma in something that they've experienced. And I think when you go back into that trauma and you feel the emotions, the mental part, the soul connection, the, all of that there's this kind of release. And I think people, yes, they are processing it. And that's to be expected. And I help people to understand the processing portion of it, that they're releasing, and sometimes releasing isn't fun.
Right.
It's going to bring up some more emotions, so I help them through that as well.
And when you have such a fundamental shift in yourself, in your psyche, life becomes different. Possibly some of the choices you make are different, and when you've been trying to make changes through maybe some affirmations or some other kind of practice that really hasn't been taking hold, something like this can make a big difference. All of a sudden you have a new life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Because, you know, affirmations and all those other things are good, but they kind of keep us in our head. And maybe I don't know if we're believing them or not, because we still have that unconscious stuff that's going, wait a minute, I don't really believe that. You know, I still got this old stuff and it's still sitting there. So, yeah.
So your work with people is to release that sort of thing so the affirmations can work better.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And as you can see, I work with kids. This is my sand tray shelves. And so I work with kids too, you know, I've seen lots of shifts and changes in children. And, you know, we do work here in my office to help them through some of their trials and tribulations. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, from the number of toys you have there, I mean, yeah, you're serious about it. You just don't have a few teddy bears laying around. That's great stuff.
No, there's a lot of stuff, and it's just over the years. You know.
Sure. Okay. Now, in addition to the main article in Radiance that you're featured in here on the cover, you wanted to write this special section on the soul's journey, or on our relationship with the soul. And you wrote something interesting. You said that our soul is reaching out to us. How's that, and what is the reason for that?
Well, you know, it's like those moments when you might be sitting there and something occurs to you, and it's not something that's of the ordinary of what you're really thinking about. It's kind of sitting there, and maybe it repeats over and over in different ways, like a message. And
you keep hearing the same song lyrics, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Okay. The time says 11:11 and 2:22.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And it's kind of trying to awaken you to that soul purpose or that soul experience. And I think when we feel not connected to our, you know, our soul's path, we're kind of, maybe, I think that's where I see a lot of people depressed or anxious. And, you know, they're not following it, but they have this dream at the back of their mind, or, you know, they think it's theirs, but it's their soul going, wake up, wake up. I want you to do this purpose, what you're here for. You know?
Right. Well, it's interesting. I was just having this conversation with someone that frequently we think we need to do things in life and check certain boxes. And frequently checking those boxes is not what our soul is telling us to do. Our soul is telling us, no, you have your own path. You were put here for your own reason. And the boxes that are meant for check marks were written by someone else, by a group think for the society.
Right.
But we're so concerned with checking those boxes. What can a session or two with you help with that? Help get the freedom to be who we're supposed to be, who we're meant to be here? How do you help with that?
Well, I think mostly with my shamanic work. So what I do is help them to, you know, find their totem, their power animal, and or maybe it's a guide, another guide, and to start connecting them in the session. You know, we do the journeying together. And we ask those questions, you know, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing here? You know, and you can get guidance from them, or just a little nudge, like, wait a minute, let's do this, you know. And as you do it, you know, with your client, then they just begin to do it on their own, of course. And so then it's getting more and more information about that. I mean, I have a client. He's a longshoreman. He's a big boss. He works in the ports, and it is the most phenomenal thing, because that man, he brings his crystals. He has learned how to do healing. He has a guide who says, go down to the ports. He goes and clears the energy. There was a horrible death about a couple months ago on the what was it? I think a crane fell on somebody. It was horrible. And it was just this really hard energy down there. He went down and I said, no, wait a minute. He did it remotely. We did it in our office, and he cleared that energy from that grief that people, he said, were walking around with, that grief from and the fear, So it's amazing, once you really tap into what your soul purpose is to really help people in a way he never even thought,
Wow. That's awesome. It sounds like, does he come back for more sessions? Do you have, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, his wife's in the hospital now, and he cleared a lot of energy at the hospital because he said there was a lot of goo. I'm going, oh my God, you're amazing.
You mentioned a spirit animal, someone's totem. But for skeptical people, what would you say that can help them with once you figure out what theirs is?
Well, a spirit animal or guide is somebody who's actually been with you most of your life. And when you do a journey, which is kind of like what we do is we usually drum, which puts you in a kind of a little bit of an altered state. Yeah.
Sure.
And I teach them how to find their power animal and greet them. And then it's just gaining a relationship. And that can be done by just having the experience of going back and talking to them again. And just being aware in nature, I sometimes, like I had a client who her power animal was a dragonfly, and dragonflies were always coming to her garden. So It's like, they wanted to be near her and to just kind of validate that, we're not alone here. We do have others that can help us from what we call other realms.
Yeah.
And that all we need to do is ask for help and probably take it out of the fear or all of that, and just work on a little more just trusting that world is available to us, I think.
Well, and I was hoping for a wolf or a jaguar, and you told me my spirit animal was a turtle.
Yes, I remember.
Remind me again what's significant about a turtle?
Well, I mean, if you look into Chinese culture, the turtle is very revered, extremely revered. And, the turtle has the ability to go into his shell when he needs to, and he has huge protection, but to also go out and swim and go to those places that what do? They cross oceans, some of them. I mean, they do magnificent things. So
it makes me think of travel and your home, wherever you are, you're at home.
That's right. That's right. That's it. That's it. And don't you do that?
I do
that.
I get around a little bit. People see my timeline on Facebook. Yeah, they see me getting around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Christine, this is great. And obviously what you offer people is magical. I mean, shifts of the significant kind, fundamental shift that you offer people is transforming. And it's amazing. So for people who want that with you, to have sessions with you, they can go to christinealisa.com.
Correct.
Okay. And that's so marriage and family therapy, alternative therapy, shamanic, anything they want to follow their life path, their soul journey better, quicker, they can consult with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you for joining me.
This
is great.
Thanks so much.
Okay. Thank you everyone for listening, for watching, and keep spreading the love.